Well, your final video for this module, and it's going to be about using progressions to set goals. And one of the reasons I think setting goals is so powerful is because it gives students like a purpose for the work. And it helps build independence and helps them keep track of it. And I want to remind you for just a moment about the dependency cycle. And that's what we want to break. And the dependency cycle is when students are dependent on us for their learning. Dependent. That happens a lot of times when you're teaching, like your mini lesson, when you're doing small groups, when you're doing conferencing with students, maybe if you're doing a mid-workshop teaching point, like they're dependent on us. They're dependent on us, and we send them off in the workshop model, right, to be independent, okay? We want them to be independent. And when you look, I want to bring back our workshop model here. This is just a small part of our time. This is a small part of our time. Them being independent is 75% of the time. So it's really important that we help put systems in place to build independence. Independence with practice, independence for mastery, to practice towards mastery. And so what will happen is when they get stuck, they'll do a couple of different things. One thing is they'll want to come right back to us, the teacher, and we'll swoop in and let them be dependent and help them again. Another thing you might see is they'll stop, they'll just like throw their head down or stop working or kind of throw a fit or not be interested. You might see, depending on, sometimes kids will just follow you around or just stand there and wait. We want to break that cycle, this dependency cycle, because every time they get independent and they get stuck and they come back to us and we feed into that, like we help them and then they have to go back to being independent and then they get stuck again. It's like a feedback loop. And so we want to put them, we want to do things for them that set them up for success, that, hey, I'm stuck, but that doesn't mean that I can't figure this out. So one of the things that we can do to build engagement is we can help students set goals around things that we're doing, that they're learning. And so letting the students set goals, and I'll show you, this is probably not the best sheet, but it worked for me. And so I used this when I met with students in conferences where I had their name and then their goal, so I could check on them. So we want to set systems in place that help them reach their goals in our classrooms. So we want to have them use the progression, figure out where they are, and set goals on what their next step is. So in order to help them reach their goals, we want to set them up with a system that helps create success. One of the things that helps me when I have a goal is accountability. Now, I have it written down on a piece of paper. You might use a Google form. You might have something, other system in place that works for you, and that's awesome. But I'm going to be honest with you, you cannot hold all of your students accountable for all of those things every single day. So one thing can be the teacher helps hold accountable. So if you're meeting with them in small groups, or you're meeting with students in conferences, or even a mid-workshop teaching point could be on doing a quick check on how students are doing with their goals. But you could also have partners, like other students help hold each other accountable. So you might have partnerships or groups that help hold each other accountable. So that's one way we can help students set goals around the progression and then have an accountability partner to help them. Another thing that I've done around goal setting is help give students tools to support them. So those tools could be strategies or examples of things that they could try. So I just was thinking, hey, I think you guys might like to see a couple of these things. One of the things that I've done before is create a process chart, like an anchor chart, process being the steps toward something. So here is an example of theme. Theme is really hard. So we do theme a lot in ELA and in social studies, finding theme. And so first, next, finally, this is a tool that could be really helpful for students that are working on, and their goal is determining what theme is. So that's one way you could have a tool, is have just the step-by-step process chart and them have access to that so that they can stay independent. So when they get stuck, they have that example there. Now, earlier I shared with you another tool that you could share with students, and I will find that really quick. And that is where we took the student work and basically we marked it up. Okay, so I'll just pull it out like this. We have the student work here and we named and noticed exactly what the student did. Also here is another example of how I took the language from the progression and then had student work sharing right there. So those are a couple of things that you can do to help students when it comes to goal setting and meeting their goals, is have different tools, have an accountability system in place, and that accountability not just being you, because I think that you're amazing and could do it, but I think it's really great when kids have to hold each other accountable and we learn how to set systems up and structures that make us successful. So you've done a lot of work. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to see what you do with all of this and the impact that it makes. Have a great day.